A few weeks ago I bought myself these, Caran D'Ache's Museum Aquarelle, some rather premium watercolour pencils. But today I want to show you everything I've been doing with them. We'll compare them to a couple of my other favourite brands to see, what are the real differences. We'll swatch them out, of course, just to see what the colours do, how they feel, and a little bit of extra testing. Looking at the liftability and how much they move with colour before, of course, having some fun and actually just painting with them, because that's when you really learn about how things work. The aim here is that I can share my simple, practical guide and opinions, not be boring and rigorous. So if you're this chap looking for me to redo this video, you're in the wrong place. So let's dive in. Let's open up this little box of goodies. So these are, as I said, Caran D'Ache's Museum Aquarelle pencils. There's 40 in the set that I've got, and they're kind of split into some really bright colours on the left. Then on the right we've got more kind of earthy tones and some neutrals as well. They are premium, so you can see the sets range, well, actually as much as £300. The one I've got is £143, a lot of money. But they promise a lot as well. In fact, Caran D'Ache say these are among the best watercolour pencils available. So, is that true? Well, let's find out. The first thing that I'm going to do, and this is what I like to do whenever I get a new pretty toy, is to just simply swatch them out. And I have divided my swatches into bright colours, and then in a moment we'll do the kind of earthy tones. When we are swatching out our colours, when we're thinking about watercolour pencils, we're actually going to learn quite a lot just from this simple process. Firstly, how do they feel dry? Do they create a nice crisp line? Do they feel like they're laying down lots and lots of pigment? And you can start to build up an idea for the textures that you're going to produce. You can also see, as you move between different pencils, the kind of inter-pencil variability. There's always going to be some pencils which are really rich, surprisingly so, and some pencils which are much more timid or much more firm. For example, in my Winsor Newton colours, a lot of the lighter colours and the light blues, it's really hard to actually get the pigment out of the pencil. They just feel quite hard. In these, actually, mostly they're very soft. We'll come to that later, because the very softness is actually a real positive and something else to consider. But it does mean that when we lay them down, you can see they're uniformly pretty bright and rich colours. And they activate amazingly well as well. So this is just coming in with a simple round brush, I think it's a size 12 round brush, a little bit of water, and you can suddenly see these things come to life. And that's because of how water soluble they are. The simple act of popping water on and just testing again in a different way using this flat brush, you can just see how much movement there is, how much incredibly quick movement there is, and how they sort of subtly blend as well between each other. As you move down the page, it becomes a bit more neutral, and that's simply because with my big flat brush, it's picked up all the different pigments, and when you mix all the colours together, you end up with something a bit like grey. But despite that, everything is still bright and crisp and transparent, which is a really lovely start. So far so good. Pretty impressed with these, as I would hope to be, having spent over £100 on them. Nonetheless, I also love, when I am using my watercolour pencils, to have a bit of a variety in how I use them. So not just drawing with them and then painting over them, but also doing a bit of dry on wet. So here I've wet the page, and I just want to see, when I'm swatching out my earthy colours, what happens to the pencil as we go over that wet line of water. And you can see they activate very well. This light grey is the first of the pencils where I noticed it doesn't lay down that much pigment very quickly. And that's pretty typical of the sort of lighter colours, the whites, the steely greys, those lightest blues. But it's still, again, a rich page of colour. You can see some of the lines got very bold as I drew over the wet area, but also you can see they activate just wonderfully well. So if we take a closer look, you can just see there's amazing texture here, amazing brightness. Really worth just spending a few minutes doing this swatching, because you just start to understand the pencils a little bit more. Now, time, I think, to just test one of these key features. So how soft are the pencils? And you can see I've started here with a completely sharpened nib or tip of my pencil. Halfway through, the nib or the tip is almost gone, and here, look, in just about 10 seconds, there is no more pigment left. So I'm going to have to resharpen the pencil. Now that means this is going to be an expensive endeavour because you will be running through these pencils very quickly. But it also means it lays down an enormous amount of pigment. So look, when I just come back in with my brush, we can basically fill this entire page with pigment just from a few seconds of scribbling. So that's where the softness comes in as a pro and a con. The other thing, we can see how incredibly water soluble these are. Notice how there's almost no pencil marks left on the page. There's a few in places, but it basically feels like a watercolour wash, doesn't it? I have softened this out very quickly with a brush, and we've ended up with a flat wash, none of that pencil texture. And that's because of how soluble and soft they are. Splashing into this wash, you can again see little cauliflowers starting to develop on the right hand side of the page, and just coming in again with that clean brush, it's incredibly liftable. So yes, there's a little bit of staining of the paper here, which is to be expected with yellows and reds, but there's no texture underneath. Even though I scribbled hard trying to get rid of that pencil as quick as possible, we've essentially got that white, crisp, clear surface underneath. These pencils are very liftable, they're very soft, and they move really nicely in water. We can already see that from those cauliflowers developing subtly on the right hand side of the page, but also just doing some little flicks. You can see this sort of reddy brown in that yellowy green, how quickly that reddy brown is just spreading, almost exactly like you'd expect out of a watercolour tin. And excuse the slightly wobbly footage, but you can see that a little bit better here on my little close-up with my phone. This is amazing, genuinely amazing. I haven't ever had a watercolour pencil which basically acts like a watercolour, at least in this part. We'll come to the ways that they're a bit different later when we actually use them, but so far so good is what I would say. Next, it's time to compare. So I've got my Winsor Newton Studio collection of watercolour pencils, significantly cheaper, also very lovely. I've tested them before and I'll pop the link to that video down below. Then I've got Derwent Inktense, not strictly watercolour pencils, but they act very similarly. I've also tested those below, which I'll also link down below. But how do they differ? Or do they differ at all? Is there any point in spending so much money on these Museum Aquarelles? Well, let's find out, at least with this little rough, simple, practical guide and opinion, as I said. Not a perfect test, but I think a good place to start. And the place I'm starting is with some simple primary colour swatching comparisons. So I'll have a blue from my previous sets and then a couple of blues from this Caran D'Ache set. I'm not putting too much thought into which blues I'm choosing. I just want to get a rough idea of the difference. We can see when we activate them, the Winsor Newton, I did say the light blues don't activate that well, and you can kind of see that here. It's very much staying at the top of the page. The Inktense, always super vibrant, and you can see that here as well, immediately bolder than those Winsor Newtons. The Caran D'Ache set, well, they're also very bright and bold, aren't they? Now, I did think the Winsor Newton stood out a bit much here, so I thought I'd just try one of the lighter blues in the Caran D'Ache set. And I think you can see it's a bit of an unfair comparison on the Winsor Newton, because the Caran D'Ache here with that lighter blue is much paler, but it's still richer and I think still moving a bit more than the Winsor Newton. Again, as you would hope, because they are literally 4 or 5 times the cost. Anyway, I repeated this same experiment with the reds, with some yellows, and I think you can probably get the idea here that the story remains very similar. Derwent Inktense, really bright. Winsor Newton, very lovely, a bit more subtle. Caran D'Ache, also very bright, loads of movement, and it really just fits with what I've tested so far. And without further ado, I guess it's time to just have a little play with actually using them, actually, let's call it creating art, a very original term. Now this is going to be a quick demo, but we're going to cover these ideas, pre-planning a little bit with where we're putting the colours down, whilst allowing movement, considering our mixing, looking at some watercolour effects we can still do with watercolour pencils, and of course, stopping at the right time. I'm using here a Burnham Stillman watercolour sketchbook. It's got some lightly cold pressed paper in. Now we haven't talked much about paper today, but I normally use my watercolor pencils with watercolor paper because that fine tooth, the cold pressed sort of texture, helps take the pigment from the pencil and pop it on the page. Now, without further ado, let's have a think about what I'm trying to achieve with the various stages of the painting process here. The first step is to pop your pigment on the page. So unlike with watercolors where we pop it on wet, of course normally with watercolor pencils we pop it on the page dry, and that leads to us having to have a little bit of forethought or imagination about what might happen when we come to activate it. But that's also really important to remember. We're going to activate these colours. So when we have finished drawing, we do not want the page full of colour, because when we add water, we've already seen how bold and vibrant these colours become and how mobile they become as well. We can move them all over the page. So what we should be trying to do is lay down little blocks of pigment, little areas, little textures, preparing to move that pigment around and respond to, as with everything watercolour, what the pigments end up doing on our page, not just totally pre-planning things. So hopefully you can interpret what I'm doing here a little bit, which is moving around different areas of the page, adding little blocks of colour or little future blocks of colour, being aware that these colours will activate, I can move them around. So a few lines might actually be similar to a few big paint strokes worth of the colour. Now the other thing which we need to half pre-plan and half respond to is the idea of mixing. Yes, you can buy the full set of these watercolour pencils, which would set you back £300 or £400, but also provide you an enormous array of different hues to play with. Even then, you're probably going to want a colour, a hue, or some feel or mix in between, which isn't literally there in the box waiting for you. And that means we have to do something akin to mixing. With watercolour paints, we would of course mix in our palette. Usually we can mix on the page often as well, but most usually we mix in the palette. With watercolour pencils, it flips the other way around. Normally, we're doing like this, laying down marks dry on the page, and then when we add water, they will mix and blend together. So just thinking about your basic colour theory, thinking and planning how close to put colours, whether to overlay them a little bit so they start the mixing, or whether to try and leave a gap so that you leave them as separate as possible. All of these things are little considerations for when it comes to laying down your colour at this stage. Also, being aware which colours might overpower others. These deep purples and blues are likely to overpower my yellows, for example. So I'm just going to have to be wary when I add water of how I move things around. But equally, having a bit of fun, seeing what happens. When you know your watercolour pencils perfectly, you'll be able to predict your mixes far better. If, like me, you've only used these a couple of times before and you're not really sure what's going to happen, well, you just need a more open, experimental mind, willing to make mistakes, willing for this to be a bit mad, but also, along that mad route, you'll probably learn something, you'll probably find something unexpected and a little bit of fun. One of my tips for watercolour painting, I think a pretty normal thing to do in watercolour painting, is work from light to dark. Now that's not as vital in watercolour pencils because, as we'll see when we activate them, some of them feel a bit opaque and you can lay down light on top. But it's also still quite a good way of working just to build up your image. So you can see here, last but not least, I'm adding those darkest of colours to piece together the image. And then we can come in and be a little bit brave with our water. So to ensure I'm being brave, I'm using a giant brush. This is a size 24 round brush. I've got a bit of paper as well, a bit of tissue, so that I can control the amount of water on my brush, and also so I can clean it. Because if I just wash this sort of whole sea area and then move directly into the mountains or vice versa, I will mix those colours together more than I want to, and I'll end up with grey, like we saw when I did the initial one-line swatch at the very beginning. Here you can see lots of movement and lots of blending already. We've got this kind of green tinge emerging, which I was a bit worried would happen because I put lots of those blues and yellows close together. But actually I quite like it, especially since these colours are staying really nice and transparent. In the sky, I actually, at this point, had another worry that I hadn't put enough pigment in, but as soon as I activate these really bold pigments in the sky, well, actually it comes to life, and I can realise there's more than enough pigment here. I just need to activate it enough, use enough water that I can move it around plenty. And by using a little bit of water, softening in the middle, actually we end up with this sky which is pretty dramatic, pretty alive. It certainly doesn't look like something you'd expect to have emerged from those scribbly marks I made. I'm making sure as well to leave some of those scribbly marks. I don't want to completely lift up all the texture. For me at least, there's something very lovely about the piece of art showing how it was made, and showing those pencil marks in there, at least in a few places, is one of the magic things about watercolour pencils. Here I'm just touching in little blobs of water. Now my aim here is to create some cauliflower marks. Cauliflower marks are where the water pushes aside the colour, and you can see that developing at the bottom of the painting. I love these marks. They're a bit abstract. Many people don't like them, but for me there's something magic about them, and something even more magic about the fact that we can do this with watercolour pencils. Moving off to the right, we have that big bold area. In this area we can see one of the other properties of watercolour pencils. Can you perhaps feel how it feels closer? It almost feels stuck onto the page. That whole right hand mountain just feels like it's in front of everything else. And that's because, in a sense, it is. Within there I used lots of that grey, and I used much thicker pencil marks. And that means, unlike watercolours, this has become quite opaque, which is quite different to the effects we expect from simple watercolour painting processes. And with those last few marks, I actually took a look and thought, there's a lot going on. This is really busy. It's really interesting. It's a bit abstract. And I'm 100% happy with how it is now. I'm sure we could layer up, but maybe that should be the subject for another video. So please do let me know if you'd like to see more watercolour pencils, perhaps ink and watercolour pencil urban sketching. Also, if you enjoy this kind of video, you might want to check out sketchloose.co.uk, where I have my free course and my big courses as well. And I'll see you in the next one.